Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Coming Down to Earth with Spirit podcast with me, David Hale. Like with Season 1, we will continue talking about all things spiritual in a real and down-to-earth way. So I hope you can join me on my podcast journey so you can learn from my own spiritual journey and experiences with spirit in order to help you on your own spiritual journey and development. So join me now as we get into this episode. Hello everybody, I hope you're well. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope you have enjoyed the episode so far. But in this particular episode, it's a very special episode. It's the first time that I have interviewed a fellow psychic medium, especially for the podcast. And in this case, it's with fellow psychic medium Glenda Marie, who's based out in Australia. There will be more interview episodes to come, but until then, enjoy my interview with Glenda Marie. So, hello everybody. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And my guest for today, my first ever interviewee on my podcast is Glenda Marie, psychic medium all the way from Australia. Hello, Glenda.
Hello, David. How are you, spindle legs?
Just put some context around that, people. Last night I did a reading on collective consciousness with Bill Hughes, a show on Spiritual Psychics TV, for which Glenda is also a host. I had a spirit come through calling someone spindle legs, so that's where, and she took the information. So, but also I have been called spindle legs by my own father for many years, so that's where that comes in. But that was hilarious.
It was amazing. It was the best. It was the best validation.
It's all in the evidence, as we know. It's all in the evidence.
That's right.
So, Glenda, welcome, and thank you for agreeing to come on to my podcast. What time is it for you there?
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
8
here.
p.m. It's not too late. Not too late. 'Cause I'm very conscious sometimes of the difference. We kind of got to work out. Okay, what time can we do this? And so, thank you very much for agreeing to this. What part of Australia are you in again? Because I forget.
Far North Queensland. So it's really, really warm. So it's like Thailand, David.
Oh, well, I'm going in January. I cannot wait.
Yes, you are. It's just giving it. Yeah, it's just like Thailand. So
because in the UK, I said to my other half the other day, I thought I'm starting to feel the cold a little bit now because our autumn is setting in. We've not really had summer, let's face it, in the UK. So anyone that's listening to this in the UK would agree with me. We've hardly had a summer at all. So the cold has started to creep in. So I'm looking forward to my summer holidays in January to Thailand.
Yes, and it is so hot in January because I've been 8 times.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic.
What parts did you go?
Phuket.
Okay, nice. We're going to the islands. We're going to Bangkok first, and then going to the islands afterwards. But that's a whole other story. Let's go on and talk about you, Glenda.
Oh, okay.
So before we get
about you,
oh, no, it's not about me. It's about you. So before we get into kind of the ins and outs of your journey, would you like to just explain to people what it is that you do, what it is that you offer? Is it readings or counselor coaching? What is it that you offer your clients?
Yes. So the way the readings I actually do, it's almost like a hybrid type of reading. So I leave it up to spirit to decide what they feel you need when you come, whether that is mediumship, whether that is psychism. It all depends on what spirit brings through. I just trust the process, and it has worked out all the time. The sitter's needs are always met. Most of the time they get a bit of both in my readings. And of course, you know, the guidance that comes through, the healing that happens. It's just an all-in-one love reading, if I can say that. It's all full of love. Yeah. So I don't do fear-based readings. I don't do negative readings. It's about, you know, there's a section of the healing, you know, and the connection with spirit, but there's also a connection of being empowered, you know, like empowering the person to make their own decisions moving forward, you know, so they can be full of trust, trusting their own decisions. All of that awareness that comes through is what mainly I do. I also do healings as well, and I'm just going to step into teaching very soon. And so it's all happening for me. And I've done my first demonstration with you in the UK, and that was awesome.
You did? How did you find? So that was your first in a physical environment, wasn't it? How did it go for you? Reflecting on it at the end.
Well, little did I know, being a psychic and all, that I had full-blown COVID.
Oh, you did?
So I did have full-blown COVID that night, and I didn't even know. And so you probably noticed I was a bit
because I just asked you if you were feeling okay.
Yeah, and I was burning up and everything. And I think that at feeling so crappy and shitty, here Aussies say shitty, we say crappy. Feeling so under the weather, I didn't have time to be nervous. So I just took to it, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was different. We had a great crowd. I think we had 85 in the audience. That was really good for a first show for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And thrown in the deep end.
In the deep end. And you guys, it was like so supportive. We all flowed. We all supported each other. It felt really good. For me, it felt great.
It did. I think it was definitely, it was a brilliant evening. I think, as you say, the energy in there was really good. And that was only my fourth demonstration, I think, for my son. So I'm still a baby with going into the physical places to do demonstrations and things. So it was nice to have 3 other people on stage with me, and also there's Nick as well. I think it really, I don't know, it did flow. We all seemed just to get on with it. Whether you were feeling rubbish or not, Glenda, you did fabulously as well. And I think sometimes it goes to show that. Because I think sometimes with me, especially if I'm ever sick, spirit won't let me work. They stop me, so I can't, because my mind just can't go there. But I think in your case, maybe it was one of those lessons we talk about for you, is where it was your first one, you weren't feeling so great, but you could still prove to yourself that you could still do it, even feeling shitty. So the next time, you're like, right.
Absolutely. And do you know, this year for me has been really tough because I lost my mum in February. So I've worked through the grief. I've worked, even when things were really tough, when I sit for spirit, when I connect, I just step out of my life, step out of my mind, and just be focused. And the readings have always been really, really good. And people say, how have you done it? How do you do it? I just do it. It's just, and that night was exactly the same. I was there, and I think I just asked spirit, just take my hand and help me, because this is my first one. I feel crappy, but they probably didn't want to let me down because I come all this way.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're just like, okay, girl, this is your chance to work. You're going to work. So it worked out really well.
It did. It did work out really well. And talking about working out really well, how long have you been practicing as a professional psychic medium?
About 4 years since I opened my business. 4 years. Previous to that, do the markets and do this and do that, that sort of thing before going out professionally. But 4 years.
How are you finding it? You enjoying the ride? Because it is a bit of a ride, isn't it?
It's it's a roller coaster. So like I said to you earlier, it can be a really, really lonely journey, especially when you don't have medium friends that you hang out with, that you like. Australia is so different that we don't have spiritual churches everywhere. There is spiritual churches very sparse in the place. So to go along and to be able to practice, to be able to be in, the spirit love and the healing, there's not that many places. So most of us train online. And that's why when I came over, I actually came over to study at Arthur Finlay College. And, that was a great experience because all of my training has been online, and that was the actual first full-on in-person training. So, we don't have the resources over here that you do over in the UK. So 4 years, and it's like been a roller coaster, but the lessons have been good, and you can actually sit back and reflect when you do the work.
Yeah.
The thing is you've got to do the work. You can't be showing up online preaching to the people to do the things when you're not doing them yourself.
I absolutely agree, 100%, 100%. Because there is a lot of that. You see people that do like a 6-week course, and then 6 weeks later they are training themselves, and it's like, I'm totally teaching them. So I'm like, what? They're teaching other people, and you think, okay, look, we don't want to judge, right? But it's honest. It's honest talk, and sometimes that can be dangerous because then I haven't necessarily got the experience. I always say to people, you probably are aware as well, is that this work is a journey. This is not learning the 6-week course and that's it. This is very much a process, and a lot of it is to do with yourself and working on your inner self, looking at your inner demons and what you've been through and processing that, so you can then help other people through your own experiences, trauma, whatever it is you want to do. But that takes longer than 6 weeks to do. I'm only using 6 weeks as an example, but there is a lot of that out there, to be perfectly honest, isn't there?
There's way too much, and you see it so often. People come for readings, and not to kind of diminish anyone else, but it's like you see some of the damage you hear the damage that's been said, and it's almost like, no, like, I don't know how people are saying this sort of stuff. It's terrible, because you want to leave a reading uplifted. You want to leave a reading happy and content, with your heart full, your heart full of memories, all of that, not walking out thinking, she just said I'm going to die. You know what I mean? It's what are people doing these days? So it's like, 6 weeks, no, that doesn't work. To me, if you really want to step up to the plate, it's a lifelong dedication. That's the way I see it.
And it's that word that you use there. It's the dedication. It's the commitment. It's the dedication. It's investing your time and energy into doing it. And that's where the development, for me personally anyway, has really happened. Where I've dedicated time outside of development groups and church circles. I've done my own work there as well, because I've been dedicated to it.
That's it.
But talking about your dedication and development, when did it all start for you? When did you start maybe acknowledging or realizing that you do have this connection? Was it something that just happened, or is it a conscious choice to go, right, I'm gonna look into this and train in this area? Or was it, you get a lot of these mediums who have that story of, at the age of 4, I saw a dead person stood at the end of my bed or at the top of my stairs or something. You always get that story, right? Not saying it's not true, but it just seems to be quite a popular story. How was it for you, Glenda?
Okay, so yes, I was one of those super sensitive children, but I didn't go there. For me, my upbringing was very different. So my upbringing was watching my mum do tarot cards, give coffee readings, all of that sort of thing. So for me, it's a constant thing, a healer watch. It's been always in my life. And, I've always seen readings being done. But I'm the only one that did the mediumship. So that was a bit different, okay? So I stepped in the other side of it. So what triggered me to go into it more was a trauma. So through my trauma, I was sexually assaulted at work, went through all the trauma, and it was through my healing that, it was either I choose to live or I choose to go home. And through that choice, I chose to stay and fight. I chose to keep going. And through that, I realized that I couldn't do what I was doing before. Everything changed. My perspective on life changed. The way I saw things, I embraced the spirituality, the whole concept of it, because for so long I'd be just like, oh yeah, I can do the readings, I can do this, but it wasn't full. I'm going into it. This is me now. It's almost like, this saved my life. Like people say, spirituality saved your life, or, spiritualism, or, whatever. For me, it really did, because I kind of had to pick what I wanted. Do I want to live or do I want to go? It came to that. So my husband said to me, what are you going to do now? I said, I don't know. I said, I just don't know, because, you know, when you're in the depths of the depression and the anxiety and all of that, you don't know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I just started kind of really reading books and talking to people and watching things. And I'm thinking, this is weird because I already do this. You know, it's just like I'm watching John Edwards and I'm going, that's what I do. Maybe I am a medium, you know, that sort of thing. And I was talking it over with Mum, and I'm going, I'm really feeling this, and this is coming through, and this is happening. And she's like, don't you go there. You leave the dead alone. And I'm going, but they won't leave me alone. You don't understand. And then I remember this is the weirdest thing. I had this episode, it was under a full moon, you know, kind of just embracing full moon energy. And I'm looking up and I'm having a chat to spirit, and I'm saying, am I supposed to do this? You know, maybe I'm ready to be going down this thing, you know, what we do. I'm ready to see where spirit takes me. Maybe I am going to be a medium. Maybe I will go into, you know, putting the questions out to spirit the way we talk. And spirit goes, are you sure you're ready? And I literally shit myself. I'm like, no, I don't know. You know, it's like, I don't know, because I had the question kind of, but are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? It's like the question was thrown back at me, and it really scared me. And I took a bit of time to reflect and again, talk to Mum again. She's like, oh, I don't know. And then she's like, okay, I give in. You're meant to do this. Just do it. You know, she tried to not get me down that road. And it's because she had grown up with those beliefs.
Yeah.
But then and I'm telling her all the things that were unfolding. She's like, yeah, I know, you were born to do this. You've got to do it. You've got to help others. And through giving her messages about her brother passing, that's when she went, how did you know that? How did you know that? How are you telling me this? And it was like, yeah, you really need to help others, because that has helped me immensely. So it all kind of unfolded, David, naturally, organically.
Yeah. And firstly, I've got to say, I'm sorry to hear you had that experience. Because not obviously traumatic. But it does, you do hear that many traumas that people go through, it does trigger the start of the mediumship or the psychic. And I kind of sometimes wonder what if you broke it down, what is it from the trauma that opens it up? And I can't answer that because it didn't happen that way for me. But I'm always interested to understand from how the mind works and how certain things can lead on to doing this particular work. And obviously not asking you to go into details, but what do you think it is that trauma does, which opens it up?
I think it's more of when you're in such a deep trauma, and I think that choices, you know, whether you choose to stay or go, you put those questions out, and then you start doing the work. You do the inner work, and you start reflecting on a lot of things. So then you see a lot of psychologists, a lot of what are they? Counselors, psychologists, counselors, all that. They've all been through their own trauma, and it's almost like you've been through this, so you want to help someone else go through the trauma. It's almost like we're all healers. We're all healers in our own way. I have always worked in the medical field. I've always classed myself as a healer. So, you know, all these years of, you know, past healing, it's opened up my medical, like I'm really kind of medical intuitive as well. Within my readings, I can pick a lot of things up, but I feel it's more that you go through it, and it's almost like you want to pay back, or you want to help someone else, because you know what it's like to be in that place. Yeah. So that's kind of, I think it must, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that. Sure.
I mean, I kind of would agree, and I think we've talked about this. I think before we start recording, is the importance of doing that self work. And would you
Yeah.
agree with that? That before we can start doing this kind of embarking on this journey, shall we say, that there is that self work that you need, whether it's be through a trauma or something else, that we need to work through those things. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. You've got to do the work, inner work. And a lot of people go into mediumship because they have lost someone.
Mm,
And then they're starting to feel that someone. They're starting to hear that someone. But also they're going through the grief. So they've got to do the inner work. We've all got to do the inner work. Unless you're doing the inner work, it's not going to flow. It's not going to work. How are you expected to help somebody else if you haven't done the work yourself? You need to know. To me, I always think spirit gives me a bit of taste of everything, and it's like, okay, I can't take any more. I really can't take any more. Don't give me any more. But it's almost like, here you go, have a bit of this. And because next week you're going to help that person that you've just gone through that, so you know how to help them. You know the words to use. And we've been through so much in our life that the person that comes for a sitting also is grieving, is also going through something. So you're going to touch their heart in some way because you've also gone through something similar.
I absolutely agree, and I think based on my own experiences as well, is that I know spirit always work through us using our own life experience and what we've been through, so then we can pull on that. Even if it's just evidence based, they'll give me something which I will recognize, so I can interpret it for the person. So, and I don't think that's explained a lot in this field. I think there are skeptical cynics out there which think we're just making things up or pulling things from somewhere that I don't know where. But no, it's the life experience that we go through. So I might say some random things, which people know I say some random things, but it's only because I've either experienced it or I've got some connection with it. Because again, spirit will use our own personal circumstances so that we can help the person that's sat in front of us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I want to touch on, coming back to what you said again, talking about development and the journey. We did talk about it briefly again before we started recording about some of the loneliness that can surround what we do. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more? I know you touched on it briefly, but just touch on it more and expand what you meant by that, because I'm sure there are other people listening to this who are developing mediums themselves or on that journey where they are feeling a little bit isolated and not sure what to do.
Yeah. So with your journey, you'll find anyone that's developing, that's starting off, you'll find it's very lonely. Number one is you're going to change the people that you surround yourself with. So you change the friends, you change the people that are in your life because they no longer align. It's almost like we go here and then people have to kind of catch up to where we're at, and sometimes it doesn't align. And you see a lot of marriages or partnerships break up because of this alignment. It doesn't work anymore. And then also through the development, sometimes I know earlier on you just you want to do as much study, you want to practice as much, and you're kind of, you're focused on that, so you're less focused on doing other things. You start being less active. That is a bad one. I see a lot of that happening. So because you're sitting on your blurter or your butt, sort of giving readings all the time, you're not out there being active. So you're being less social. And the other one is even though you've got your friends that are very similar, they might not be practicing mediums. They don't know what it feels like. Mediums and healers and psychics, it's a bit of mixture of everything, and sometimes they don't align, is what I've seen, because people talk about this and that and your beliefs don't align with their beliefs, so you kind of then retract and you go, well, I'm just going to hang out with the people that align with me. And that's also hard because mediums aren't on tap. You just can't dial a medium to have a chat. You know what I mean? It's like, are you my friend? You want to be my friend? No. Or what do? That's when you kind of have to say to spirit, okay, can you bring someone into my life that is very similar to me, that sort of thing. And it happens, and you go through your journey of sometimes being alone. but you learn to love to be alone. And that's what I have embraced. I love my own space. I love my own time. If I'm going out to do exercise, I love being alone when I'm doing it. So, because it's about, getting out of your head again. You just kind of want to just be out in nature and do the grounding and all that. So I don't know, some people might have a whole heap of medium friends. I don't have a whole heap of medium friends, but I do now.
Yeah.
I never used to. It takes a while to get the right ones in your life.
Absolutely. And during your development, did you have anyone to turn to whilst you were developing, or was it very much a self-development thing that you did? Because obviously in the UK there are churches all over the place, and there are circles, development groups, all this business, so you've got a lot of choice there. But I'm aware that some parts of the country, a bit like the States, they don't have spiritual churches everywhere. And you mentioned to me at the very beginning of this as well, that in Australia they're quite sparse as well. So did you feel that sense of loneliness within your development and not feeling like you had anyone to talk to?
Yes. So I wasn't totally embraced when I did attend a spiritual church. I thought it was going to be a whole lot different. And I think the spiritual churches in the UK are a whole lot different to the way some of them are run here. And I'm not talking for every one of them. I've only been to 2, and I believe that, they're all different. So I think it depends on who runs them and how many members they are and that sort of thing. I didn't find it very welcoming, so I went on my own journey. But I asked Spirit, I said to Spirit, you've got to teach me. You've got to teach me what to do. And you know what? They have taught me the whole way. When I then went into getting some tutoring and then, fine-tuning my my development. So going and doing circles, more mentoring. I kind of went more into the mentoring. So I wanted to work closely with another medium to fine-tune what I already had. And that was really good. So I had a one in America that was really good. That was Michael Mayo. And I then went over to Dominic Bogue in Scotland. He's amazing. So I spent a year with Dominic one-on-one every week, and that was fantastic. I loved him, and I loved Michael as well. Just so down to earth. The people that you work with have to align with you. You can't be under somebody that really is tough, because you need someone to be sensitive and understanding. And both of them were really good. And then I went, oh, isn't it funny? Michael was gay. Dominic was gay, and then my third one at the Finlay College was Chris Drew, and he was gay. I think that's hilarious.
You've always got a resonance with gay men, Glenda.
Yes, I
do. Fabulous.
So and then Arthur Finlay College I thought was amazing as well. So different structure with the SNU. A lot more formal in what you can say, what you can't say. But that was really good for getting me ready for stage, the prep. And I found that really well run, that Arthur Finlay College. So, So that was it. Still lonely, but I had a tutor or someone to bounce things off to go, this has happened this week. Is this normal? Like, is this the way it's supposed to progress? I've had this come up in a reading. Yes, let's look at that. You really need to find someone that's going to work with you and let you organically evolve. So
and I would agree as well. And I mean, it's a shame that you had the experience with the churches, but it's not the first time I've heard that, unfortunately. There's another medium called Charlie Kelly, who many people might listen to. I like him. He's a very no nonsense, down to earth medium. It does a lot of teaching as well, and he explains when he first went to a spiritualist church when he was a lot younger to start developing, because of the way he dressed, he was kicked out of the church. He was kind of dragged out of the church because he shouldn't have been there, according to them, purely because he wasn't. He didn't. He went in a beanie hat and jeans and a top. You shouldn't be here. You're in the wrong building. And I'm like, that's for spiritual people. That's not very Look, I'm not love and light and all that business, but that's not a very spiritual
Me
thing
either.
to do. He's there
It's
to
not
develop.
spiritual. No.
It's not a spiritual
Yeah.
thing. They judged him just based on what it looked like, rather than helping him to unlock or discover what it was that he was looking for. And sadly, he'd lost his sister, which is why he started developing. He wanted to find her. Where has my sister gone? But instead, they did that. So the church have to be very careful. They don't put a bad taste in people's mouths just at the very beginning, right? Because
Yes.
that's not going to end well.
Same as me. I had a really bad experience just like him, and it did put a bad taste in my mouth to then go, okay, I'll do my journey on my own. But you know what? Maybe that's the way I was supposed to do it. That maybe that's what spirit wanted.
I believe that all happens for a reason, right? That's how I live my life. But yeah, coming back to finding people that resonate with you, absolutely. When I first started developing, it was very much using Google, as you do. If it's on Google, it must be true, which is a bit dangerous, actually. So yeah. So I was searching on Google, I was doing all these different things, and I got to a point after about 4 months of self-development where I thought, I need someone to talk to about my experiences, so I know that I haven't completely lost the plot, that I've not gone mad. Because you can easily do that, where you think, hang on, that am I normal? Have I experienced that? Have I actually have I completely fell out of my tree? What's going on? So I think to an extent it's important, because I think it's just based on the question that people ask me, which is, what is the best way to develop? Should I join a group? Should I join this? Should I do that? But I think to an extent, I think whatever you do, I think it is important that you do find those people that you do resonate with, that are going to listen to you without judgment. They're not going to look at you like you've got two heads, which can happen as well. And really find that supportive community. And sometimes that can take going to different teachers, because not all teacher fits one thing. You might go to a certain development circle and you don't feel so comfortable there. If you're not comfortable, don't stay there. Move. You have to be comfortable with who you're being taught by, who you're surrounded by, in order for yourself to get the best out of your development and the best out of you. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I agree. Move on. Spend the time with the person and move on to someone else. You do not have the same teacher all through school. So you shouldn't have the same teacher through your development, because you will learn so many different things with different teachers, with different people, the way people read. And the best teacher will always encourage you to be yourself and to do it your own way. Do not copy anybody else, is what I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's the saying that I use is that, firstly, it's obvious to say, don't compare yourself to other people. It's okay to say, I wouldn't mind working like them if they might work in a certain way that you enjoy, but never say, I want to be like them. Because the great thing about being a medium is that you don't have to be a robot. You are not a medium. You are your own person. Spirit want to work with you because you've got your own personality. You've got your own way of getting things across. You are not here to be a carbon copy of that medium over there. So it's a very simple term, but just do you. Be yourself.
It's true. I always say, just do you, be you, because you're bringing a different spin to it. You're bringing your personality to it. For me, I love the humor. And I'm a lot like you, Dave. Like we laugh when we carry on in our readings, and we say the most random things.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I'll be just blah blah blah. Oh, I got to give you a pineapple, and it's like, where'd that come from? It's like I'm giving it to you because I struggled with that. I give exactly how I get it. If I hear it, I give it to you exactly the way I hear it. And there's so many people interpreting and changing it, and it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of people also that do old school mediumship, but I feel that spirit evolves. We should evolve as well. So we should give it our own way. If it resonates for that person and they can take it, that's good. That's great. Like, do you, just be you, do you. So totally agree.
Absolutely. And the same as you, Glenda. I always say to my clients before I start, I'm very honest with my mediumship. I will just say what I hear, see and feel. I don't judge it. I try not to over-interpret it, because that's where things can go wrong, right? And I'll say to people, look, the message is not for me, it's for you. I'm not meant to understand everything that comes in. So you mentioned the pineapple. The other week I said to someone, this woman is showing me a tin of peaches. And she looked at me and she went, well, myself, my daughter, we had, no word of a lie, she's having trouble eating recently, but we had a can of peaches for dinner. And well, there's no way on earth. If I'd have tried to interpret that a different way, then it may not have been correct. So again, it might be quite a random thing. We like the random, no, don't we, Glenda? We like
we love it. I love it. We love the random.
It's those things that's so specific, you know, and it made sense. So absolutely agree. Say it as
That's it. As it is. And it's like, and I've had in the past where I've had 3 or 4 people, I can take all of that. And then I've just taken it back to spirit and I've gone, okay, who's eating noodles? Oh my gosh, I'm sitting here eating noodles right now. I can't see when we're doing a SPTV live, we can't see people's faces. We see a picture. Who's eating noodles or something like this? You know what I mean? It's like, yes, I can take that. I'm eating noodles right now. Where did I pull that from?
Absolutely. It's the random things. And talking about that, Glenda, is there, look, and now it's mediums who don't remember our readings, right? I certainly don't. I can have someone come up to me 2 weeks after reading and say, do you remember what you said to me? I'm like, no. Sorry, but no, I don't remember who you are. It's that medium brain that we have, as I call it. Is there either a reading or a piece of evidence that you remember that you thought, wow? Now, people ask me that, and I do get stumped by this question as well. But I don't know if there is anything that pops into your mind without putting you on the spot, because that was not a planned question.
Okay. I remember one that I did a little while ago, only because I did it a while ago and I can remember it, and it was like, wow. So over here in Australia, we have football teams, okay?
Yeah.
So our football teams are animals. So we have the bulldogs, we have the rabbitohs, we have the bunnies, right? That's kind of how we follow them. And I was reading for a young lady, and her father had passed away. And I'm saying to her father's showing me a bunny. And I'm like, would you understand a bunny? You know, like I'm seeing a rabbit. And she's like, no, I never had rabbits. I'm like, no, it's something to do with the football. And she said, no, my dad hated the rabbitohs, despised them. And I'm like, oh, he's just showing me this. And I'm trying to think, you know, like I didn't want to overthink it. And I'm like, okay, so you can't take it. No, never had a rabbit growing up. And then I said, you know what, if it's important, he'll bring it back around. Right at the end, she turns around and goes, oh my gosh, I know what you mean. Because I was talking about the last moments with Dad. And she's like, yep, couldn't understand the rabbits. And then right at the end, she said, oh my gosh, we were watching the football together and his team was playing the Rabbitohs. She went to the bathroom, came back, and Dad had passed away.
Oh, wow.
Now, that was like, wow.
So that was
that was like, for me, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, you know what I mean? Things like that where I just, wow. But, you know, then there's been other pieces of evidence, funny pieces of evidence, and I'll just go, Mum's just told me you went and had Botox yesterday. And they like, no way, I did. Oh, my God. No one knows that, you know. Things like that where you just like, oh, my gosh, because all I'm getting is this. And it's like, you just had Botox. I just did. Oh, my gosh. So, you know, random things like that where I still go, no way.
And that's another question I was going to ask. Do you still get surprised by the evidence that comes through?
All the time. And I'm one of those, I'm so comical with my clients, and I think that's why they love me. I think it's just that, you know, we're just so different to everyone else and we're upbeat and things like that. And I'm just like, no way, get out of town. You know?
Yeah,
like, I can't believe it.
I'm the same.
No, I can't believe that. I'm so shocked at some of the things. But yeah.
I'm the same. Yeah. I still get mind blown, like where did that come from? But I think it's also the difference, or the impact that you've seen it have on that person's face straight away. And that's why I
Yeah.
love mediumship, because you've got the instant validation there. Where sometimes with the psychic, you don't know if it has happened, or if it is yet to come sometimes. So personally, for me, I prefer the mediumship work. I know you have a blended type of reading, but do you have a preference over the mediumship, the psychic?
Mediumship. I prefer mediumship because it is always full of love. It is always full of healing. And it makes us feel fantastic giving those messages, being used for spirit to be that voice. I always find the frequencies a lot higher, and I walk away so much more. Oh, I've got, that I kind of say it's euphoric. I can't say it any other way. When you do, your dams, or you do your connection, it's euphoric. The feeling you get is just amazing when you have connections with the spirit world. The psychism can be a little bit different because it depends on what is happening there. If they've just gone through a marriage breakup or things like that, and there's been some heavy things, it can be a bit up and down with that. And again, we all have free will to change whatever is happening. So I always say, what I'm giving you is what I've got in the moment, what Spirit's showing me. This is always guidance for you. You have free will to make the choices. And I always say, well, you can go this way or that way. It's your choice what you want to do. This is what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
It's up to you to make that choice. You have the ability to change your life or the perspective right now moving forward. So, people say, do you see people breaking up? Do you see all that? I always kind of we see a lot of things. But if you are trained properly and you have the right morals and the way that you've been trained, you shouldn't give a lot of things. It's not for you to give. But what I have found is Spirit gives it to me in a different way to say it, that later on, even I go, that's what they meant. The penny doesn't.
Yeah.
The penny doesn't drop until later, and I go, that's what they meant, because it's not for us to understand.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, and then people come back in, a year's time, 2 years time. Did you think what's going to happen? It's like, well, it's not for me to understand. I just give it. So yeah. I like the mediumship better.
Yeah, no, I do as well. But no, it's true what you say. I always say to my clients as well, look, whether it's a mediumship reading, psychic reading, you have, as you said, you've got the free will. Spirit are never going to tell you what to do. It's up to you to make those decisions, because those things can make or break anything that I say to you now. Yourself or anyone else involved with you could change that decision ultimately for you. So no, I definitely agree with that. And are you are your readings online, or do you see people face to face?
Online. I used to do face to face, but I prefer online. Spirit told me just before COVID was coming that there was a big change happening, and that I was supposed to work online, and I'm like, I don't do online. And they're kind of like, you're going to have to learn how to do online. And even if I look back on the readings that I was giving, people were coming to me and they were talking about business. And I'm like, because I do a lot of business readings, and it's like, your business is going to take a bit of a lull, but it's not anything you're doing. It's actually got to do with the stock market. It's got to do with the universe. That's all they're giving me right now, but it's not going to be anything that you're doing wrong. And when I've looked back, it's like, oh my gosh, what? They were giving all the hints for what COVID was going to come. So they told me to go online, and I've actually preferred online. So
that's going to be my next question. What was your preference there? But do you see a difference between doing things online or in person? Is there a difference there for you?
For me, not really. And people don't understand it. Energy is energy. We don't need to be in the same room. You can close down that side of the internet. I don't need to see your face. I don't need to even hear anything. I can give you a reading without even you giving me yes, no, or putting a blindfold over me. It's the connecting the energy. We connect to energy. So it doesn't matter for us, really.
Absolutely. And I went through that experience. So when I first started, I started pretty much doing stuff online. I joined a spiritualist church, obviously, so I was doing things face to face, but I I was doing stuff outside the church because I wanted to develop more. I wanted to develop, I'm a bit impatient, really. I wanted to develop faster, learn things faster, experience new things rather than, just doing it a once a week circle. And I started doing my readings online in a little chat box. It wasn't any video, it was a little chat box I had on Facebook, and it was working. And so a
Yeah,
lot of my early beginnings was doing stuff online. So when it came to obviously COVID, so we put everything we were all banged up, weren't we? Including my
yeah,
church, there was no place to go to practice those readings. So the church wasn't doing anything. And it was just so interesting to see they were saying, how can we do stuff online? Like, well, how do you think Spirit don't care? As long
yeah.
as you get the message, they don't care. You say it's about connection, it's about energy which travels. And when they started doing online services, they were like, well, that went really well. But for me, it wasn't a surprise because,
Yeah.
again, Spirit don't care how you get the message across, whether it's in a letter, an email, a text message, whatever it might be. They know what they're doing. I always make a joke and say, look, they know what they're doing far more than I do. I'm just a puppet.
Absolutely. We are. That's true. Because when it comes down to it, they're dropping it in our mind. It doesn't matter where you are. Like it's
Yeah.
coming in here. So it doesn't matter if you're sitting across from me, sitting on top of me, or in another bloody country. It doesn't matter because it's coming. The connection is there. And
Yeah.
actually, at the Arthur Finlay College, we were really pushed to do the testing of how deep we could go with our mediumship without not knowing who was sitting in front of you. So it was really good. The blindfold
The
readings
blind,
and things like
the
that.
blind mediumship. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I loved it. It was so
It can be a
good.
scary thing to, I've done it, it can be a scary thing to do, but it really just hones that skill in because you've got to trust what Spirit are giving you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really work your clairs, your senses and
Mm,
everything. Because you take away one sense, your other senses become stronger, You see
yeah.
a lot of people that are blind and it doesn't matter that they can't see who's in the crowd. They're still connecting,
Hmm.
It's this your senses, your clairs, they all open up. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. And based on your trip to the Art Finley College, but also this little thing that we did together with Bill, Mincy and Nick. I know it's, again, repeating that is your first physical demonstration. Have you got the bug for it now? Are you planning on doing more of those type of things? Or can you say, or can you not
Well,
say? Have you got things in the
well, I
pipeline?
have. I have. I'm just not sure kind of at the moment because I've got so many things in the works with what I'm just about to release. So I'm kind of like, I have got the bug. And was it fun? Yes. We all go, can I do that?
Mm,
Oh, can I do that? Oh my gosh, how many times do we say to each other, Spirit's going to show up, you're showing up, Spirit's showing up, they're never going to let you
that is
down.
so true.
I've heard that a zillion times. It's like I remember when our fairy godfather, Bill Hughes, put us on SPTV. It's like, Bill, can I do this? Of course you can. Spirit's going to show up.
Yeah.
Bill, can I get up on stage? Of course you can. It's like they're going to just take over. Just surrender. That word surrender. Just go with it, and they do. They just take over. You're just that vessel to
Mm.
just open up and just tell everyone what they're saying. So I want to get back up on stage. I don't know how much fun it'll be just by myself. Like I thought it was so much fun with all of
It
us.
was. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and especially with Minty throwing in the bit of difference with the psychometry and things like that. Like, so I'm thinking maybe I might start off with smaller groups. Like, I don't know if I'll go 85 people straight up here.
Yeah, yeah.
I might start off with smaller groups, but I can see
Yeah.
Spirits already, the breadcrumbs. I can see Spirit already dropping the breadcrumbs for what's to come for me. So I'm going with it. So
Yeah. And and I think doing the a show, I call it a show, to an audience of that many people, you kind of think, and look, we're the best at giving out advice, right? That we should really be taking ourselves. Like we like you say, we'll say to people, "Oh, you'll be all right, you'll be fine in there." When actually, when it comes to doing it ourselves, we're like, "What if they don't show up?"
Yeah. What if I get nothing? Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the advice that I gave to other people? Why am I not taking that myself? But I think when you do that kind
Yeah,
of
and
audience,
it's like you do, and you go, "Do I need to run to the toilet? Really? Have I got anything left, guys?"
yeah.
And then it's like, the people. It's like, I need to go sit in the power? Sit in the what? Sit in the
Yeah.
what? Just get in. I used to be the city, and I listen to your podcast all the time, and I'm like, oh God, we resonate so much. I used to be the sitting in the power meditation, but I feel that you get to a point in your meditation where you in your development that you don't need to, because we can connect bang, bang, bang straight away. And that was one of the things that, working with Dominic, he got me out of it. He was like, sitting in the what? No, you're not going to be doing that. And it's like,
I like
he goes,
that.
he is fantastic. And he's like, right, I'm putting someone on the screen. You need to just go, give me a reading. And it's like, wow, okay. There was no more sitting in the power for Glenda. I actually sit in the power when I'm really tired and I need a bit of a kick up, for myself to come back to spirit, or actually sit and kind of just talk to spirit. It's my time to sit and talk to them and connect and go, okay, where do I need to structure? I need some advice. Where do I go from here? But to sit before I do a reading, not a chance. It's like,
No.
I come skidding. My husband says to me, you're getting worse every day. He goes, you come skidding in that door and sit in that seat 2 minutes before you're going to get on that screen, because it's like, I don't want to get into the thought of it. I sit inside, okay, because I need the music going. I need to be pumped. I need that energy going. I don't want to be on a low when I'm connecting. I need to bring my energy up. So I loved that podcast that you did about that. That was really good.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's those things you kind of learn through experience, isn't it? There is a lot of old school teaching, and I like the fact that Dominic said no, not doing that. What actually even is that? But that is taught. But that is still taught to sit in your power. And I like you. I personally can't do. I get too distracted. So if I'm doing like when I did my first ever demonstration alongside Bill, I just come back quickly to the audience size. There was 90 plus people in that church for my first one, and it's like, when you do it, you kind of have to think to yourself, well, I can do 90 people odds, I can do a smaller crowd. But having said that,
exactly,
you still get there and you go, oh my god, how am I going to read for 4 people? What if no spirit person for those 4 people show up? So in our own head a lot of time, aren't we? But yeah, that day I couldn't sit in the power because I was a little bit nervous. I was trying to G myself up a little bit. I couldn't sit there and meditate or sit in the power because my mind just wasn't there, because there's a crowd of people out there waiting for you to come on stage, so your mind is a little bit preoccupied. But no, as you say, for me as well as you, it's about getting amped up. I explain it's doing something that gets your engine going to get that connection to spirit. And it's not meditation, because meditation is a passive act, right? You're doing it for self. You're doing it for self. So you want to do those things which really get you amped up, get your engine going. You get excited, turn that nervous energy into excited energy, and that's really what builds a connection, from my perspective, anyway.
Yeah, I do believe that it has a place, and I do believe that when you're first starting out, it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you need to sit and you need to connect with spirit, and you need to be able to get out of your head and, just kind of work a routine up to kind of, we all did it. We all sat, we all meditated. And I think it's good when you first begin. And, with my students, I will be making them sit in the power or sit in a meditation to kind of attune to working with spirit. But as you kind of develop later on, I just feel that you should be able to just go. Spirit knows when you're ready to go, and you should have strong boundaries to shut it down and not work anymore as well. So
yeah. I think it's those disciplines that you start learning a bit more with more experience. So no, I'd agree. No, with the meditation, I wrote that in my book as well. It's about meditating to find that center to really calm the mind. But as you do get further on in your development, you might find that actually I don't need to do it anymore because it's not necessarily needed. But I know I agree, it's a good foundation to definitely have.
Yeah.
If we could shift gears a little bit, I just change the topic slightly because I wanted your input in it, because there are varying opinions out there about it, or people have certain views about it. Now, I know you said you sadly lost your mum earlier this year, and we've all lost people, but there are people who say, well, if you're a medium, surely it affects you differently. Well, I'm like, well, no, not really, because I'm a human being. So, can you talk about your experience and how, it might sound obvious how your mum's passing affected you, but as from a medium point of view, just let other people know that, we are still human. We are no different to
Yeah.
anyone else. So, what was your
Yeah.
experience with it? How did you did spirit help you? Did you, I don't know, deal with it differently because of what you
Absolutely.
do?
So, yeah. So, I felt every inch of it,
Mm,
the whole hurt, if not more. We are super sensitive, hypersensitive, call us whatever. We feel it, if not more. Did spirit help me? Absolutely, because mum was in the state that she couldn't talk, but I was communicating with her telepathically. So she was telling me when she needed to have that water, when to wet her mouth and all that sort of stuff. So I knew what she was saying. She was saying, you need to go home now. You need to take dad home. That she was telling me still what to do. So on that perspective, yes, they definitely helped me through that. It still hurt. I still went through the grief. And then sometimes you get to the place where you're just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
yeah.
know if I want to do this. You start questioning it because you're in that human. The best way I can describe it, I was torn between two worlds. 1 minute I was feeling the human side of it, and the next minute the spirit side of it was making me feel better about the whole thing. It's okay. She's going to be fine. That she's just going to be, I always say she's just invisible. She's just in the next room because I can still feel her. I can still hear her. But you have that human side that pulls you over for that very hour or that very second where you're emotional, and then you're going through the waves of the grief, and then you've got the spiritual side of being a medium going, just talk to her. She's here.
Yeah.
It's like it was a tug of war when I was going through it. But I feel that it has helped me through my healing because she's only been gone, 6-7 months.
Yeah.
It's helped me because I can hear her. I can feel her. I'm still kind of feeling like she's still here. She's not gone. I can hear her very clearly. The biggest thing is I'm very clear audience. So
Yeah.
that's helped. But you know what? I'll have a shit day where I don't get out of bed and I just cry all day. So I still feel it.
Yeah. And it's important to say, because I think, people have a certain perception that, I've heard people say, oh, you're medium. So does it, like, of course it affects us. I've lost a stepfather. Of course that affects me. Well, my grandparents are gone. Of course that affects me, and whoever else, because we are still human. Yes, it's nice to have that connection, but I don't know if you agree that connecting with your own loved ones is very different to the connection you have with other people's loved ones. It's not the same. So, but we still understand. We know that they are still there. We know they're still looking after us. We know that you can. I always say to people, you can never break those bonds of love that you have with your your loved ones that are passed over, no matter who they are. They don't just disappear from our perspective at all.
No. And sometimes when people say I can't feel them anymore, I can't, they were there, now I can't feel them anymore. Why is that? And it's we've got to understand that we can also put the blocks in, we overthink it. We go into that, and it's just about kind of just not overthinking it. Don't think about it all the time. Don't concentrate it all the time, because they're going to send you all those signs and all that sort of thing when you're not looking for it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's, you get that question all the time, like, I don't feel them here anymore. Stop trying.
Stop trying. Just let it be. Don't push it. Just let it be there. Thank you for sharing that, Glenda. But I think it's important for people to know that it's, we all go through that grief. It's okay to feel that grief. And we're no different to anyone else. We're the same. We still go through that. So thanks for sharing that. We're going to start wrapping up soon, but I want to know, what is what is the spiritual community like in Australia? Because I've watched a lot of Australian, is it TV10 or something? On YouTube, we have John Edwards over there, Lisa Williams over there. And there's Australia always seems to be, my auntie lives there actually. So she likes to watch different mediums and things on Facebook and whatever. And my perception is that it's quite a spiritual country. And for me, it's interesting to see how different cultures resonate with it. Because I was talking to Bill a while ago about his demonstration he did in Ireland. Now, from my perspective, I come from Irish Catholic grandparents who didn't believe in any of this at all. So it's interesting for me to hear from him about how the Irish audience took to the demonstration of mediumship. What's it like in Australia from a spiritual perspective? Are they very open, or is it a bit of a mix?
Bit of a mix. I think it's a bit of a mix. So, you know, like everywhere, you get people that are believers and non-believers. I think they're more on the more prefer psychism than mediumship, is what I have found. I don't know how anybody else is, but people always want to be told what's coming for the future, you know. And they just, and if you know, that I find that is more heightened. I don't know much. I don't really kind of have a lot of connections in mediums. I have a friend that is a great medium on the Gold Coast. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag here, but not as much as it is in depth over in the UK is what I found. Like I don't feel there's too much of the trance that goes on and things like that. So yeah. Again, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. Mixed bag of lollies.
Mixed bag. Interesting. Thank you for that. I'm always interested again how different people perceive what we do. Now, if I was to ask you what has been your biggest challenge in your mediumship journey, what would you say it's been?
The biggest challenge, pushing myself outside my comfort zone. We all feel it. We all know what it feels like to take that step.
Yeah.
And here I am just about to take another big step, you know, like this year has just been such a massive a year for me, just, you know, stepping out there, trying new things. And I put it down to I wasn't in the space to do it before. You know, before that I was caring for my mum and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like Spirit's gone, okay, well, we've just taken this little bit away from you. So now do it. Here you go. You got to do this now. You know, it's like the door's open for you. So it's like you're going to take the leap or not. At the end of the day, if you don't try, you don't know. That's what
absolutely. Yeah.
And then you just got to remind yourself, just do you. It doesn't matter who else is doing what. Don't align yourself with anyone else. I still get caught up in it sometimes, and I just kind of go, but I'm different. My energy is different. We're so different. And again, your clientele are your clientele. They're coming for you.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to remind people of. The people that come to see you, they're coming to see you because of people that have told them about you. The word of mouth has gone to them about how good you are and how gentle you were. So I always remind myself of that. So that was probably one of the biggest lessons. And the trust. It's just trust.
Absolutely. And it's a small word, but it's a big importance, that trust.
Trust. Go at your own pace. It's not a race.
Yeah. I've been told that many a time in my journey. David, take your foot off that gas. They're not going anywhere. But yeah, absolutely.
But it's funny. It's like you cannot speed up your development in any way.
Yeah.
Spirit will give you what you can handle at what time. Absolutely. And that also depends. It depends on your actual life as well, what you're going through in life.
Absolutely agree with that. So that was your challenges. What have you enjoyed the most in your journey so far?
I feel probably just the healing side of it, the watching people come in so distraught, so upset, and then leaving with a smile on their face. You know, to be told, we don't often get, and I don't believe that we change someone's life, but people say to you, you changed my life.
Yeah.
And that is amazing, you know, to watch people change after a reading, to just the transformation in the whole thing, you know, like the whole stages of it. And you kind of look back, even though you look back 2 years ago and you go, oh my God, I was going through so much shit. How was I going to get through that? But now you go, oh, that wasn't that bad, really. I'm glad I went through that, you know, because you've grown so much. So every stage, even though it was so bad for you and what you went through, there's lessons in all of it. So I've enjoyed looking back and kind of going, wow.
And I think it's great that you do that, because we don't do that in very often. We don't do it as humans. We don't sit and we don't look at our life or look at what we've achieved that week or that month. And that's advice I was given by a tutor at the Arthur College, actually, Sally. She's called Sally Barnes, and she said, reflect, keep a journal, even if it's 6 months at a time or a month at a time or whatever, and write down, what have I learned? What have been the lessons? Because we're on this constant hamster wheel of life. We keep going and going and going. We don't take time to jump off and go, right, let's reverse that wheel and let me see what I've experienced in that time. So I think that's great advice, Glenn, that you've said, is reflect, look at those lessons, because life is a lesson. Let's face it. Let's face it. Those things we go through, they're here to teach us certain things, right?
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling, and it's hard, but it's also beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've just got to always find the positives in every day, even though it rains and there's clouds there's also rainbows. You just got to look for those rainbows, don't you?
Definitely. Well, Glenda, before we finish this, let's just talk about what have you got coming up and where can people find you?
Okay, so what I've got coming up, I will be doing some in-person work, which will be, I haven't even released it and I'm releasing it now. So I'll be doing some,
exclusive, listen
exclusive,
up.
exclusive. I will be doing I did some, a couple of months ago, I did some trance healing while my friend did some sound healing. And I really got some positive feedback on the healing that came through. So I've got myself a room. Spirit has opened the door, and I will be doing one-on-one sound. I'll be doing trance healings with a sound bath incorporated. So it's going to be fantastic, and it's going to be very, very, very gorgeous and luxurious, because I just love luxury and I've just been spending so much money. So that's one section of it, and then the next section I'm going into teaching. So I will be doing some in-person teaching, and then I'll be starting to do some online teaching as well, progressively, like through the weeks, for maybe a 4-week course or a 6-week course or something like that. And you can find me on Glenda Marie Psychic Medium, Facebook, and also Instagram. And I've opened up a TikTok account, but I'm just not good at TikTok. I just can't tic-tac-toe. I can't do it. I'm just not, I don't know. It's just not me. I'm trying, and I'm just like 35 followers. I just couldn't be bothered.
At least you tried.
I tried, so I'm just like, I'll just let it go. I'll see what happens. But yeah, that's where you can find me. So,
and I'll put your links in the description of the podcast as well, so people can just find you, just copy and paste, so it's easy, right?
Awesome, thank you.
That's some great stuff coming up. So people, whether you're in echoed there, whether you're in Australia or not, you can be anywhere in the world with especially the online stuff. Follow Glenda. She is, I'm saying you're available, so I'm putting you out there. Glenda is available. Reach out to her. She's got lots of exciting stuff coming up. But Glenda, it has been a pleasure to talk to you today. Again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm my first ever guest on my podcast. And I'm very sure. Oh, you are all special to me, my darling. Special to me.
I love you too.
And I thank you for your support for my work as well, and for listening to my podcast and getting my name out there and sharing everything. Because you do share a lot of my stuff on Facebook and Instagram as well. So, and that's important. I think I was saying to Bill last night or Bill was saying to me, that it's important that we do support each other. There's a lot of division in certain parts of this community, but it's important that we do support each other. We do share each other out. We know, because that's important. You don't always get that. So yeah, thank you very much for that, Glenda.
Oh, thank you. And we will have to do an online live together. I think it'll be heaps of fun.
I think so. Yeah, I think we'll put it out there to the universe, right? So we're speaking it. So let's make it happen.
Absolutely, we're manifesting.
Definitely. But until then, my darling, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you very soon.
Oh, thank you. God bless.
Well, there you have it. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed what you heard and you found it interesting. There are plenty more episodes to come, so stay tuned, and I'll speak to you all soon.